I don't actually know. Oh,
Hi, welcome to the Radio Horror Show here at WCW tonight. If you can't catch the audio version of this, you can check out the video over on the Radio Horror YouTube channel a little later on after this has broadcast. Tonight on the show with us, we have one of the people behind the theatrical true crime podcast, Murder We Spoke, not to be confused with Murder She Wrote, which starred Angela Lansbury back in the 80s and 90s. This is the first time I've ever heard of a theatrical true crime podcast, and one of the people behind this or involved with this is on the show with us, Jenna Zhu. Thank you for coming on the show with us.
thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
An audio fiction true crime podcast, the 9 episode series follows three women as they attempt to become podcasting legends with a true crime podcast, Murder We Spoke. Um, they uncover unsolved mysteries of iconic serial killers. When I read the synopsis, I was almost reminded of the TV show that's on Hulu right now.
Which one?
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yes,
With Steve
yes.
Martin
Yeah,
and
that's a great
Martin
one.
Short. Yeah, the
hmm
reuniting of the comedy duo, very popular because they're podcasters that have started uncovering crimes and stuff week to week.
Yeah. And honestly, the line between comedy and horror or true crime can be very slim sometimes.
I'm going to be listening to a couple episodes of this when I go on a plane to vacation in a couple weeks. I do love the titles. It started with a fire, nothing bigger than a bunny. The dead girl
hmm
becomes fire. Don't f with a lion because we do have to broadcast this. The love sound of bones cracking. Which, by the way, do you know how they crack bones in movies? The sound effect.
Oh, that's a great question. I should ask my friend who was the sound designer on this, Derek. But
I do know.
how is it done?
It's with celery.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
you hear
no,
someone
very
breaking
convincing.
a bone, it's usually most of the time. I'm not saying this speaks for every single version, but most of
Mm,
them, it's the sound of celery snapping because a bone snapping is a wet sound effect.
got it.
And I just
Wow.
saw the movie Immaculate, and Sydney Sweeney, and that has like,
Many bones
no,
breaking.
no, it's not her. It's the nun escaping in the very beginning of the movie.
Ooh.
One of the evil nuns like snaps her freaking her leg or whatever, and just snaps right through the skin, and it makes that sound effect. So.
Ooh. Well, yeah, it's a pretty meaningful sound effect for the storyline. So I'm really glad you're bringing some attention to that.
So this is a true crime story. What true life story is this based on?
So it's actually, I would say, kind of like a hybrid of a satire of true crime podcasts, and it's also quite theatrical, as you said. So it kind of plays like an audio drama as well. So I think it um, plays upon the genre uh, and I think some of the ways that it's true crime podcasts are produced and really like investigates people's motivations.
Um, there's a so it's not based on one particular story.
Um,
That was my
not
question.
to my knowledge.
Okay, that's what I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out. Is your podcast, because it's true crime, based on a
hmm
true crime story that happened to somebody in the time of
No,
life?
no, this came
Okay, all
purely
right.
from
That's
the
what I was trying to
playwright.
figure out because I was looking
Yeah,
searching, going, I'm not finding. Every time I typed in
yeah,
like on
that's why.
Google, all I kept finding was your podcast. I'm like, I don't understand. I thought this was a true crime podcast.
Yep.
I thought it was based on a true crime.
It's great that you actually thought that because I think that was the goal behind
I'm
this.
like, I'm
It's
like
so
sitting there
hard to
going,
know sometimes. Exactly. Yeah, it's
I don't
really hard to
know.
know the difference between fact and fiction when it comes to true crime. And, some are, produced so convincingly that the line is very thin. So that's something that the playwright Rachel really wanted to
Oh,
bring to
okay.
people's
My
attention.
my next question was behind
Mhm.
you to your left. I thought maybe that was like your murder board of like the clues.
Oh,
This thing,
that's so
the other
funny.
side. Yeah, the other side. I was like, what is that? Is
Yeah.
that like how she's piecing
No,
together the story?
it's just lots of photos and artwork
Okay.
and posters.
I honestly
Oh,
thought you were like stringing it together. This is the conspiracy of how
oh,
we found the
funny.
body.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is quite a convoluted, interwoven web of relationships, and that I think is part of what makes it really fascinating to listen to because, like, trying to keep track of who knows what when and um at what point in time as well, because information is revealed in lots of surprising and different ways. So there's lots of concealing going on. There's lots of things going on behind people's back, and it does have like a really great payoff by the end when everyone's on the same page.
Gotcha.
But that's part of the
Well,
fun of listening.
well, here in Massachusetts, we actually do have a true crime thing happening.
Oh,
I'm sure that every true crime podcast sleuth Scooby Doo person is looking into
yeah,
because we have Karen Reed's trial happening right now.
that's right.
Yes, and is she
Mm,
guilty or not of murder? That is, the thing. My boss, who's also like my boss, I won't reveal where I work, but my
okay.
boss is a serial killer fanboy, like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, the chick
Hmm.
that Charlize Theron played, whatever her name was.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah. I know exactly.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the monster.
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So,
Um,
the first woman to ever
Eileen
be put through the
Warnos.
electric chair too. So
Yeah.
anyway, so he's like, Chris, you gotta get your podcast crew together. You're gonna go down to the courthouse and you're gonna try. You're gonna look into this Karen Reed thing, and then you are gonna crack the case as a reporter, and you're gonna find the
Oh.
clues. I'm like, what? I'm an entertainment reporter. Are you nuts? You're crazy.
Does he want to do it himself?
No, he wants me to do it.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah.
I'm like,
Listen, that would be a great angle to take though, having him
I'm
do
an
it.
entertainment reporter. I'm not Scooby Doo.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is, eh, I actually know very little about true crime, so in certain ways, it's really fun to participate in this podcast play and to listen to it from an outsider because I
Well,
don't listen to any true crime.
gotcha. Well, why don't
Um,
you go over who your character is and what she's about?
my character, yeah. So it's very much an ensemble piece. So most of us play a range of characters. I play Rita, who I will say is the main murder victim that the storyline is centered around. I play the lawyer who defends um, the three convicted uh, women who are at the center of the murder we spoke. We call it Murder We Spoke Trio. Let's see, I also play a lot of secondary characters who support their storyline. So we get to see the trio. Their names are Bernie, Chris, and Paula. And we see both their origin story as well as how their fascination with true crime developed, like how they developed their podcast, which is called Murder We Spoke, particularly focuses on women serial killers. And they devote everything, their entire lives to this and can't seem to get it off the ground. But an actual murder starts to launch them towards true crime podcast fame. The other really fun thing about this particular format is we call it a podcast within a podcast within a podcast because there are also other podcasts who are reporting about the Murder We Spoke trio.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So there's another one called Something Fishy, and then there's the Tantrum East podcast, which you think you're listening to in the beginning, and sometimes you hear something fishy, and sometimes you hear Murder We Spoke.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you play more than just the victim? Do they give you
Mm-hmm.
something more to do besides being the
Yep.
corpse?
Yep, I also play more than just the corpse. I also play Cat Pouncey, who is a reporter who also has a role in exposing um, the crime and bringing justice to the situation, and several other secondary characters.
Do you do a lot of practicing of voice in inflection so you don't exactly sound like the same way every single time, like the way you do now?
Yeah, since we did have since it is an audio format, we did have a lot more liberty to be able to utilize that, and also since we don't have the visual component of the medium like we do with film, for example, um, we do rely a lot more on uh, the vocal aspect of the performance, and so we did have some liberty to exaggerate that a little bit, especially since we all play. The vast majority of us play multiple characters, and also since it's a satire, we had a little room to really have fun with it. So yes, like Cat Pouncey has a Chicago accent because she's reporting from Chicago. Rita kind of is like this because she's a yoga teacher. And then who else? The lawyer lives more like here kind of thing.
What you just stopped talking, or you
Oh yeah, no. I was just I was just like, riffing on that. So yeah, we all had a lot of fun with different vocal inflections, I would say.
gotcha.
Yeah, and even of the three murderesses, I'll give that much away. Rita, or sorry, Paula, Bernie, and Cress also have very different performances. Like I would say, at different points in time, like earlier on when they're still struggling to get the podcast off the ground after they've committed the crimes, and they're in jail. Sorry, I'm like giving quite a bit away. And the different personas that they take on really, I think, add a lot to the story about and tell us a lot about their frame of mind, and what they're trying to hide. So I think that's also really interesting to listen, like really interesting information to listen for.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
There was something when I was trying to just see who you were that came up with your name attached to it. Something
Hmm.
about Mean Girls. Were you in a play for Mean?
Oh,
I was like, was she
Mean
in the
Girls.
movie? Was she in the recent movie, which I didn't
Oh,
see?
that's so funny. I sang a song from the Mean Girls musical for a cabaret recently.
Oh, okay,
It
gotcha.
was fun. Yeah.
I just saw. Speaking of murder, I just
Yeah.
saw Dial M for Murder, the play in Boston this past Thursday.
Uh-huh.
You know what that
What
is?
was it called?
Dial M for Murder,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I
the
think that's
play, which
a
also became a
Agatha.
Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Right.
Right, and
Is it
then
Agatha
also
Christie?
they had just got done running, and I missed it. I wish I bought tickets for it, but I missed it. But there was Clue, the play, based on
Mm-hmm.
the movie.
How funny.
Yes,
I love
which is one of
Clue.
my favorite movies of all time, and I missed the
Same.
play. I was kicking
Yes.
myself. But yeah, the dramatic murder. What do you mean murder?
Love that. Yeah. I think it's very much in the spirit of that, very playful, like the flames on the side of my face. What an amazing moment.
um, what have you done prior to doing this? Because like I said, I mean, the Mean Girls thing popped up, but what do you,
Yeah.
what is your
So
background in?
so yeah, this very much came as an extension of my relationship with Tantrum East Theater, because I'm friends with the founders of the theater, Lisa Bowl and Thomas Daniels,
Oh, so
and
theater's your
Lisa.
biggest thing. Gotcha.
Yeah. So mostly theater and like specifically new work development. So I think I had met Rachel doing a reading of hers, and then when the pandemic happened, this was originally supposed to be a stage play, and uh, they very agilely and successfully pivoted to making this into an audio drama. And I feel like they did a really great job with adapting it. And so I've been with Murder We Spoke specifically through multiple iterations of the draft since the first one in 2020.
Um, I have you ever thought about like writing one of these yourself? I didn't know if you have any like writing credits.
Um, I do not know. The only thing I've like ever written as far as a dramatic piece was when I was at the Actors Theater of Louisville and their professional training company, which is how I met Lisa. And it was a self-written solo show, like 10 minutes, which we had to do. And I was like, I did it once and I never want to do it again. um, but I have a like fair amount of experience in um, like dramaturgy, I would say, and editing, that kind of thing. So that was a really fun thing to do since we all did work so closely together. Rachel would frequently ask us, after reading an episode, what do you think is going to happen next? What are you tracking? What, like, who do you think knows what at what point in time? And so this was because it was such an intricate plot line. We all had a really important role to develop in terms of shaping how the story unfolded and the pacing and so on, and like different directions because it started off going in a very different direction.
I have a play myself that I'm trying to shop the script around for. It's
Oh,
based on my graphic novel. We gender swapped the cast of Dracula.
oh, great. Yeah, we love
Yeah, so
that.
I gotta start thinking outside New England because I've sent it to a lot of different playhouses in New England, not a lot of response back. So I'm gonna start
Mm,
like kind of going outside New England to honestly
great.
anywhere that I see that has a submission box to be like, okay, here's my play, check it
Act,
out.
yeah,
Like an
Actors Theater of
hour and 10 minutes maybe,
Louisville.
or an hour and a half run
Oh,
with like an
oh, we love
intermission. It's not
we love
very
a
long,
short
so
run.
yeah.
Yeah.
Some people like I was worried it was too short, and someone who was helping with it says no because
No,
some theaters would rather a shorter play
always.
with a tighter cast than like a 2 3 hours ensemble. How many characters are in your play? I'm like 9, but the cast of
Oh,
Dracula too, so you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
So and I'm like it can be like 3 sets they turn around to represent 3 different things. So I
Oh,
we
amazing.
wrote it in a way that hopefully it makes sense for them. If they need to rewrite it for the way they have to do their staging and stuff like that, that's fine. Just don't rewrite my characters the way I wrote them. I wrote it very open-mindedly to be incredibly inclusive to diverse cast of men and women of different ethnic backgrounds and things like that. We don't go too far into the LGBT world of it all, but I just it's like cast the people the way they should be like in the story, and it will work. So
Great. Well, yeah, no, I mean, we
it's
love.
the women who have to team up to go rescue the guy because that's the plot. They have to go rescue Mark Murray, the Mina character. So
Oh, yeah, we don't see that very often.
no,
So
no. So you
great.
get the 3 vampire brides versus there's like a big fight scene with the 3 vampire
Mm-hmm.
husbands. Sorry, the husbands
Mm-hmm.
fight the cavalcade of women. You know what I mean? Rescue
Mm-hmm.
the man. So
Great. Actors Theater of Louisville every single year does Dracula. It's kind of a tradition. So,
I want to see a
I'm sure.
Dracula play. I want someone to take me
Oh,
to Dracula
yeah,
play that's
yeah.
different. Do
Next
something
time
with
you're
it.
there or submit, I think we're
Well,
always
send me
looking
that
for.
information in email.
Okay, I
Yeah,
will.
send me that information in email looked up. So, but
Yeah, I think that Southern Gothic, aesthetic is something they really ascribe to.
cool. Why don't you plug where people can find the audio drama?
Yeah, so we play on you can stream it on anywhere that you stream your platforms.
Okay.
Our homepage is www.murderwespoke.com. And yeah, and it's a deliberate play on words, homage to Murder We Wrote. And I'm just taking a look at the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Podcast Index, iHeartRadio,
Cool.
Pandora, etc. So
Awesome. And plug
wherever
your
you
website too,
stream.
where people can find you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's www.jennazoo, JENNAZHU.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenna, for coming on the show.
Thank you.